Okay, let's talk about risk management. Our suggestion for risk management as far as what you should do from an overall percentage of your account value. In other words, what percent of your account value should you allocate to this percentage? We're saying less than 20%. That's what we do in our own account, and that's what I would suggest that you do in your account. Remember, if you have some type of violent black swan move and you have several of these positions on and you're using 60, 70, 80% of your account, that could get wiped out real quick. So that's not what we're doing here. We're here to hit doubles. We're here to hit singles. We're here to live to trade another day. You never know when those black swan events are going to come, and you have to position size appropriately. So you want to use less than 20% of your account value for all your positions. You can trade multiple positions at a time, and we're going to talk about our methodology and how we ladder and how we structure these different trades and how we trade them. But just make sure your overall capital usage on these isn't more than 20%. Because drawdowns will happen. Like I said, approximately 40 to 45% of your trades will be losers. And so you need to be okay with that. You need to be able to take a loss and not let it affect you emotionally, psychologically, and you need to make sure that your position size appropriately to make that not happen. To make sure that you're not blowing out your account, and B, taking such huge losses that it affects you emotionally and it cripples you from taking these kind of trades, because they are very profitable over time, but you've got to have a lot of occurrences. Now, I mentioned here, don't do this necessarily right now, but when you get a chance, go to random.org/coins. You can flip coins randomly. It's a random generator online that allows you to look at random coin flips. And the key thing I want you to understand is, one, you must trade hundreds of occurrences for these probabilities to play out. If you look at a coin flip, for example, which is theoretically a 50-50 probability that it'll land on heads or tails, what you need to understand is if you flip 10 coins, it's not always going to have 5 heads and 5 tails, right? It's going to have different streaks. I literally got on here and took screenshots just within a couple minutes. And let's say that every time you flipped heads, that was a winner. And every time you flipped tails, that was a loser. So this first one, you can see you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 out of 10 winners. Wow, this strategy's great, you're going to be thinking, right? But then the next 10 trades you take, or the next 10 coins you flip, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 losers in a row. And you're like, oh man, this strategy doesn't work. This sucks. I just lost 7 in a row. If it's really a good strategy, there's no way I could lose 7 in a row. Well, guess what? Yes, you can. And then the next time you win one, you think, okay, this is back on track. You know what? I need to double my size because I got to get back to even. Boom, 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 boom. Losers. 7 losers in a row, and you're done. You wipe yourself out, or you just take such a big loss, and then you start thinking this strategy doesn't work. And then what happens? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 winners in a row. Okay. This is the kind of thing, this is the kind of sequence of returns that you can see when you're trading. And even though they're higher probability than a 50-50 coin flip, you have got to understand that drawdowns will happen. And there will be periods of time where you're going to have several losers in a row, and you've got to position size and you've got to keep your head on straight to understand that that is part of the game. Here's a real life example, and I was trading this strategy during this time. This is in the first couple weeks of February in 2017. Well, look what happened. This is right out of the back test that I showed you before with great P&L, great profits, great everything. But in this case, there was periods where you had 10 in a row of losses. And you can see this is an iron condor. You had a credit of about $1,000, got stopped out minus $500. Credit of $850, stopped out, loss of $433. Credit of $965, stopped out, loss of $491. These little triangles here in the back test, that represented a stop out. When you get to a calendar here, that means you exited at that 1 day to expiration. But you exit at winner or loser. In this case, it was a loser, a loser, a loser. That's 10 losers in a row. Okay? Can you sustain that? Can you mentally be okay with that? Total, you add these up, that's about $4,500 loss trading one contract. Are you okay with that? Can you sustain that? You've got to have the right mindset. You have to understand the probabilities. You have to understand that you will have losing streaks, and you have to position size appropriately so that it doesn't affect you mentally or monetarily. The other thing to keep in mind when it comes to the iron condors is the margin requirement. So that's going to fluctuate, right? If implied volatility is super high, then the amount of capital it's going to require to put one on is going to escalate. This was in the first week of 2018, first week of February 2018. Well, what happened that week? Well, the market tanked. Implied volatility skyrocketed. So if you put one of these on in February 1st, it only took about $4,500 in capital to put one on. But look at February 5th, it's going to cost you over $2,300 in capital to put one of these on. Now, if you're not trading an account that can sustain that type of buying power, then you're not going to put one on during that time. Now, keep in mind, the amount of credit you received on that trade was huge as well. And look at this. I mean, it ended up being just a monster winner. You've got to position size appropriately based on your account size and your overall risk tolerance. One of the other reasons I mentioned double calendars is kind of liking them a little bit more is the amount of capital required to put those on doesn't fluctuate or expand nearly as much as these iron condors do. So you're taking less risk and they're a little bit more manageable from a size standpoint.